Welcome to another piano lesson with Warren. My name is Warren McPherson. Thank you for joining me here today. If you want to improve your piano playing, your gospel music piano playing, all the blues, the cool old school stuff, CCM, contemporary Christian, doesn't matter what kind of gospel Christian music you're into. If that's something you want to get better with, this is the channel to be, or at pianolessonwithwarren.com, where I teach you guys all the stuff. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic. What's the difference between keyboard organ and playing the piano on the keyboard? Or what's the difference between playing an actual organ and playing the keyboard? I've gotten a lot of questions along that side, because if you're playing for a gospel church, there might be an organ sitting over there in the corner, and you're like, how do I play that thing? Or how do I begin to approach that thing? And that's a question I had many years ago when I first stumbled up on an organ, and nobody would play the organ. I would just play the piano because that's what I know how to do. And then eventually I started dabbling on the organ. I may preface this by saying I am not an organist. I don't sell myself as an organist. I don't consider myself an organist, but I do have some tips to share to help pianists fake their way on an organ if you have to, because sometimes you might find yourself playing, what we call auxiliary instrument or a second keyboard. And a lot of that times you might have to, cue up your organ patch, and you want to approach it differently than you would when you're playing piano. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about today. All right, so stay tuned. Before you can dive into playing keyboard organ, you first have to make sure that you have the right tools. First and foremost, you need a keyboard with a good organ patch. And what are we looking for in a good organ patch? We're looking for, let's start with the two main features for now. You need to have what we call a volume pedal. And that volume pedal allows you to raise and lower the volume of the organ, like this. I'm just using my volume pedal to adjust the volume. So the volume pedal, that's the most important one. I'm currently using the Yamaha FC volume pedal. And the reason why I like that volume pedal is because it works with any keyboard. Plug and play. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to set up anything. It works with any keyboard. Simply plug and play. That's the Yamaha FC7. And I'll put a link in the description of the video. That's my affiliate link. So if you buy this pedal, I get a commission from Sam Ash, but this is a great pedal. I've been using it for years, and I've never had a problem with it. So that's the first thing. Make sure that your keyboard has the capability of inputting the volume pedal. And as you can see here on my keyboard, it says control pedal, and that's where my volume pedal is plugged into. I also have a rotary pedal, and that's to control the speed of the rotary speed of the Leslie speaker, and this is in a simulation, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's the first thing. Make sure you have your control pedal, volume pedal. The other thing that makes a good keyboard organ is having a keyboard that has the ability to do drawbars, because that's how you can really get to simulate the sound of an organ. See right here, 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 9 different drawbars right here, and these are digital drawbars. When I can enable them by just pulling them down like that. Rarely do I use it like that. And I can disengage them if I want to do something more on the mellow side. Sometimes you might do stuff like that behind a preacher while he's doing like altar call. nice mellow stuff, and you can tweak it. So those are the two distinctive, most important features of a keyboard organ. If you don't have a keyboard that has drawbars or the ability for a control pedal, then you're not going to be able to sort of recapture that organ sound. The second thing that we have to look at is understanding the different features of an organ. Now, an organ is different than a piano. A piano, you just play it, and that's it. An organ, you can shape the tone and texture. And let's talk about the different features of the organ. Now, we already talked about or brief introduction to the drawbars. If you enable all the drawbars, it gives you that sort of harsh, overdrive sound. A lot of high end. You might use that when you're doing, preaching, sort of like praise stuff. And so on. So that's when you might find them using that. Other than that, for more mellow stuff, especially when you're doing auxiliary, you just keep it more dark and mellow. On a real organ, you have more drawbars and more options and so on. The drawbars takes time to learn because, there's so many different nuances you can do to craft the sound, and there's some guys who are real organists. If you listen to the way they use these drawbars, man, they can literally talk to you with the organ, just with the way they're using the drawbars. I haven't mastered it that much because I don't mess around a lot with the organ. I use it occasionally when I'm doing preaching chords, or, if you're doing some shout stuff and you want to do that second auxiliary keyboard stuff. But the drawbars, wonders, a lot you can do with them. Other than the drawbars, you have what we call the rotary speed. Now, if you look at a Leslie speaker, if you're familiar with the Hammond B3 organ, there's something spinning on the top of it, and it affects the sound. And you can have that spinning slow, and you can have that spinning fast. Now, on the Nord keyboard right here, when I have it on slow, the sound is more consistent, it's more smooth, and that's when the rotary is spinning slow. When you want that tremor sound, you put it on fast. If I put it on slow, listen. You hear it slows down. Fast. So that's the second feature of an organ, utilizing that slow and fast. So if you've been in church and you watch the organist and you see them flipping that switch, that's what they're doing. They're changing the speed of the rotary to give different effect. The other thing we're going to look at is the different sort of vibrato chorus. So when the Leslie gets spinning, that sort of vibrato chorus that you hear, you can change the speed of it. And here you have different kind of setting. I like to have mine on the C1 for the Nord. On the actual real organ, there are a bunch of different settings you can get into, which again, sort of beyond me. I like to keep mine on the C1 because it slows down and speed up a little bit more realistic to a real organ. If we jump over to the other section here, we have what we call the percussion. And the percussion, when it's enabled, gives you more of a pop sound when you play the keys. So right now, I have my percussion off. Listen when I put my percussion on. You hear it? It's more edgy. Give you that pop. And whenever you're playing fast songs and you want that sort of rhythmic element in the organ, that's when you would enable the percussion. If you're playing more mellow stuff and you don't want to have that pop sound, you can just simply turn that off. And it gives you that more smoother sound. The other section or the other feature of the organ is the ability to split. And what that does, if you notice, as an organ, you have two layers of keys. So you can play something different down here in terms of sound quality and tone, and something different up here. So oftentimes organists would play like the chords. They'll keep that nice sort of dark pad in the left hand, and they might do the more sort of solo-y, if they want something more like, on the top, and the left plays something more dark, then they can do that. So let me give you an example. So on the Nord, all I got to do is just press Shift and hit split, and see my splits engaged. So now when I have it on the low or the number 1, I can just keep that dark, even darker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that up there. So that's another beauty about the Nord keyboard. You can shift octave. So because I'm going to be playing chord in the bass territory, I put my octave shift all the way up. So I'm playing I just basically get rid of all the bass. So then I can play chords down here. And then I can do. So you hear the quality of my right hand different from my left. The left hand chord's just dark and mellow, and the right hand is more. So if I put that on up, I can change the quality of the left hand. So that's what you can do with both layers. The way we use it best on the Nord, because the split on the Nord only gives you this section of the keyboard right here. So there's not a lot you can do, because the lower you get, the chord starts to get just too dark. But we use it when we're doing more bass stuff. So if I want now, I can. And then I can just put my. So that's beauty. So if you don't have a bass player and you're doing, shout stuff or stuff like the new walking bass, or whatever, but lots of possibilities. So that's how we use a split feature with the organ. And those are the sort of the blocks, the different features that you have to learn as an organist or as a keyboard organist. Now, this is why I like the Nord Electro keyboards or the Nord Stage or whatever keyboards Nord put out with organ, they, I think, have done one of the better jobs of really assimilating that organ. So for non-organists like us, we can really get into it and, get some organ sounds going if we don't have an organ or we don't know how to play the organ. Those are the different features. The next important thing that you have to think about when you decide you're going to play keyboard organ is the approach, the technique, and the feel. If I were to switch my keyboard back to piano, when I'm playing piano, if I'm playing solo, I can do stuff like that. The other thing with playing the piano is that you can jump around because you have the sustain pedal to sort of rely on to keep you smooth. Doesn't matter what fingering you're using. The sustain keeps things smooth. With the organ, traditionally, there's no sustain pedal on an organ, only a volume pedal. So those guys had to do what we call finger legato. And legato means to play smoothly. So you have to make sure that when you're playing organ, let's take the split off. Everything, see I'm moving my fingers to the keys? So I'm playing that Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Finger legato. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I sometimes cheat and use a sustain pedal with the organ. But I use it in a way where it's not obvious. As you can see, oftentimes I have to be reaching for the rotary button. Whenever I do that, my left hand disappears. If you're playing with a keyboardist, a pianist, it doesn't really matter. But if you're playing alone, sometimes you want to just keep that sound going. So sometimes I may cheat. So, I might do stuff like... sustained. So I cheat sometimes. If I want to keep that low end going and I want to reach up and hit that rotary button, I just use a sustain pedal. Now I know the diehard organist might be turning their nose up at me and be like, that's not how we use organ. There's no pedal on the organ. But my philosophy is, if you can use it in a way where it doesn't sound weird, like you're playing a piano, I would say touch it up, But it's good practice when you're starting out to just even disengage your sustain pedal so you get used to just working with the volume pedal. Now, another thing I should tell you that I'm doing on a real organ, the volume pedal is played with the right leg. And traditionally the left leg plays the bass pedals. Now, in my band, I play in a funk band sometimes, and I rack two keyboards. So sometimes I might have organ on the bottom, piano on the top, or clav or EP. In either case, I need to be using volume pedal and sustain pedal at the same time. So over the years, I've trained myself to use my volume pedal with my left leg, my sustain pedal with my right leg, which is standard. Because if I were to switch between, I could switch between the two by putting the volume pedal on this side and just switch between the two, but I just found it easier to just work them both like that. Because again, guys, I'm not an organist, so eventually at some point I would love to learn the real organ and learn the foot pedal and all that. But for now, I'm a pianist. I play the keyboard, and I occasionally use the organ patch. So I'm just telling you how I run it, the setup I use, and so on. So the important features, again, the playing is you can't treat it like you're playing a piano. You got to treat it like an organist. You got to use that volume pedal tastefully. You got to make sure you're using your drawbars and your rotary speaker and so on. If you've never played organ on keyboards before, it's going to be different. It's going to feel weird, feel different, because you have to approach it differently. You can't be doing all that left-hand arpeggiated stuff as you would do when you're playing a piano. You can't do that because the organ, it sustains, Even if you use the pedal, that's not how organs are played. And so it's mostly blocked chords, or you're playing a run, whether it's a bass run or a right-hand run. But, so to get some experience, you got to start listening to organists. Pull up YouTube video, just check out some organists. If you're in church and you got a good organist, listen to them play. Listen to the way they approach the chords. One of the beauty of also playing organ is that you can experiment with your rootless voicings. If you're playing real organ, the bass, you got the bass pedal to carry the roots, so the right hand gets crazy with rootless voicings chord. Or even if you're playing with a pianist or in a band setting, your role as the organist is, again, to sort of support role, auxiliary role, so you can really play along with the rootless voicings of the chords, which add an additional feel to the music. Oftentimes, you can just even use your right hand. See, that's again one of the beauty why I like the Nord keyboard, because I have 3 different shift. I can shift my organ 3 different octaves. I don't usually play my organ on the middle octave, which is the standard octave. I put mine on the top, and here's why. If I keep it on the middle, I play chords here, it gets too dark. You have to go up here. That's where you play most of your chords. So that means I'll be in this position most of the time. Makes no sense. So I put mine on the top, shift my octave. Now I can play here in the body of the keyboard, which I'd like to do. The trick now about this is that you have to be careful going too high, because that's sort of going outside the range of the organ, and so you be careful you go too high. I like to keep it here because most of the time I'm not doing any bass related activity, so I don't need to go that low, so I keep mine on the shift. So just to highlight the features again, make sure you have a good gear, a good volume pedal. In the description of this video, you'll see my affiliate link to this pedal. If you purchase that pedal using that link, I get a commission because I'm an affiliate for Sam Ash Music. Understanding the features of the organ. The organ's not a piano. You don't just play it the same way. You got to understand that we have drawbars that helps to shape our sound. We can use the rotary speaker to add sort of more dramatic effect. We can use the vibrato chorus to give us different sort of speed of how the Leslie works. We have also the percussion to help us if we're playing fast stuff, to give it more rhythmic element. And you have your layers. You can go between layers to, just as an organ has 2 layers, you can switch layers or split the keyboard, so to speak, with the organ. And those are the top features. So I would love to hear what you use for organ down below if you do keyboard organ, because I know there are other organs out there besides the Nord. I personally endorse the Nord. I love the Nord organ. I think it's one of the best organ on the market. And Nord has a whole series. They got the Electro 3, they got the Stage 2, they got the C2. They even have an actual real sort of like portable organ that they've come out with a few years ago. So a lot of cool stuff over there with Nords and organ. I would love to hear what you guys are using, just, so I know what else is out there. I know that, was it Roland has an organ? I don't know. I know that they even have some little portable drawbars that you can attach like a MIDI device or something that you can use. Whole bunch of stuff right now. The technology has gone far ahead since I last looked into these things years ago. So hopefully this gives you some ideas as to how to begin to approach playing keyboard organ, and to know that you can't treat it the same way as you play the piano. You got to do a sort of mental switch, know that you're in organ mode now, and use it that way. So thanks again for watching. If you're new to the channel, please give me a thumbs up, a subscribe, leave a comment down below, give me a like, all of that good stuff. And lastly, if you don't know who I am and what I do, Piano Lesson with Warren, I run a membership for gospel musicians where I give you more detailed instructions, not only just to play gospel music, but really how to develop your skill as a pianist. So all the theory, all the scales, and a lot of song breakdowns. All of my lessons comes with MIDI, LMS files. A lot of them comes with lead sheets, backing tracks, cheat sheets, just all the supplementary materials you need to take your playing to the next level, whether you're interested in playing just songs or you want full-on courses that help you as a beginner, as an intermediate, or on your way to advanced. We offer all of that over at pianolessonwithwarren.com, the membership. Head over there, check it out, let me know what you think. And if you have any questions about anything piano related, I'm on Instagram, obviously here on YouTube, Facebook. Just look for Piano Lesson with Warren. You'll find my Facebook group, my Facebook page. The free Facebook group has about 13,000 members over there. They just hang out and we talk everything piano, from gears, from theory, technique, all of that stuff. So hit me up on whichever platforms you prefer. Let's connect. All right? So until then, keep listening, keep singing, and keep practicing, and I will catch you in the next tutorial. Have a blessed week.